Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Small Data with T, where we are passionate about the power of small data in healthcare. I am your host, Tanazia Gonzalez, but you can call me T. Data has certainly changed the game in healthcare. Big data has blown the roof off, but small data, now that's the future. Small data allows us to dive deep into the key insights and take quick, customized action to achieve phenomenal results in performance and quality improvement. Let's explore this today. Thanks so much for joining us. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, feel free to reach out to me at tgonzalez@eima-inc.com. Enjoy the show. Let's go. In Season 4, our topic is healthcare data analytics as a career. I spoke with some folks who are new to the field or thinking about joining in. I also spoke with some seasoned professionals and learned from their insights and suggestions for those who are beginners. I hope you find these conversations as enjoyable and informative as I did. More importantly, I hope they help you in your journey. Over the years, I've had the opportunity and the honor to manage several young individuals starting their careers or even seasoned within their careers of data analytics, operational analytics, data informatics, also data science. And I'm so proud of every single one of them. And I've kept in touch with many of them over the years. And it's really nice to see how their careers have changed and blossomed over the years. And we keep in touch. And I think it's important to always give back and remember those folks that you've encountered within your career and helped to shape. One such individual is Yosef Miller. And I am so happy to present to you today my discussion with Yosef. He has over a decade of experience in healthcare data and operational analytics. And in this talk, he discusses the significance of operational analytics in healthcare and distinguishing it from traditional data analytics. He has a robust background in team dynamics, data-driven decision-making, and project management. And Yosef excels at leveraging technology to streamline operations and enhance organizational efficiency. He also underscores the importance of data governance and the collaboration between teams to strengthen organizational data strategies. And he offers some advice to the newcomers coming on into data analytics and operational analytics, basically data informatics within healthcare. He addresses the challenges such as navigating organizational structures and the under-evaluation of data analytics roles. I encourage you to listen to this conversation. There are great nuggets of wisdom here, and it's really nice to see the journey unfold. I hope you enjoy this talk as much as I did. More importantly, I hope you hear something that helps you along your journey. I really enjoyed our conversation about operational versus data analytics. Really want to hear your perspectives that you were talking about on the call. But first, let's go ahead and just give the folks a couple of words on who are you? What's your name? Where are you located? Where are you currently, professionally? Couple things.
Sure. So first of all, thank you for having me back. I do remember that first one, we did a practice run during a blizzard.
Yes.
So I will definitely not forget that.
Very interesting.
Yeah, but I really do appreciate it. I think that what I do in general is sometimes lost on some people. I know that you have understood it and have been here with me in the past with it. So again, definitely appreciate you highlighting this with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. My name is Yosef Miller. I am a data analyst, I call myself. I don't know. My current title is up in the air, really. So I go by data analyst. I've spent the last 12 or so years working in different ways with data and information, mostly concerning healthcare. I grew up having a love for math and being slightly antisocial, and that often guides into data analytics. When I got there, I noticed that number one, no matter what, I need to be in healthcare. Whatever I'm doing, it has to be in healthcare. There was just that drive within me. Should I have been a doctor? Maybe,
Interesting.
maybe, but
Yeah.
I wanted healthcare, but I wanted something with numbers, where it's something that I really was good at, and that kind of guided me into one place and the next place,
Mhm.
until I kind of found my footing in this kind of mashup world of operational analytics, I've called it.
Okay.
So right now, I said my title's up in the air. My official title is Director of Analytics. Last week, someone sent an email about me, calling me the Director of Finance. I run physician compensation where I am currently at Optum Tri-State. So am I really an analyst, the data analyst? I don't really know. It doesn't really matter to me what exactly I am. The main point is that where I am is that I'm able to use numbers, use what I'm good at to help the operations of a healthcare organization move forward. And that's really the crux of what I do and what I have wanted to do, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just realized we have more in common than I realized.
Okay.
You had just described like my childhood and my upbringing. Also good with numbers, kind of a recluse,
Right.
myself. And I
Yeah.
used to sit in my room and do math problem after math problem on my chalkboard.
Yeah, I'm
That
looking over to see if I have anything over there. But yeah,
yes,
exactly.
there's an enjoyment in it, and then when you're working with the data, and then a bonus is if what you're doing with the data and creating the reports and the tools can help improve lives on the
Yeah.
other end. Wow. It really it lends itself to fulfilling your life's purpose. So we were talking about, and thank you for sharing all of that. We were talking about operational analytics versus data analytics. What would you say is the difference between the two?
Sure. So the way that most organizations tend to be built, they are built, I know this is the wrong word to use, but they're built in silos. The reason why it's the wrong word because people don't want things to be built in silos, but
Gotcha.
typically organizations are built like that. It's for a very simple reason. A finance team wants another person on their team. They have a certain budget for finance, so they could hire someone for finance and finance
Mhm.
only. Operations wants more people on their team also, so they're going to do that the same thing. If they have an opportunity to get, if HR, if the leadership approves of a new position, they're going to fill that for all their operational needs. So what ends up happening is that the only groups that kind of develop are the ones that are established already. So you have the finance, you
Mhm.
have operations, they tend to grow on their own. Data is another one that in recent years has started to grow on its own as well.
Mhm.
But what's interesting is that where do the data analytics fall under? Where do those folks fall under? So is
Right.
it under finance? Is it under operations? The truth is it's under neither of them. It often ends up falling under, maybe like a chief informatics officer,
Mhm.
which is
Mhm.
maybe less analytics and more IT specific.
Mhm.
Sometimes it might fall under the financial team.
Mhm.
But because things are built so separately, what ends up happening is that the groups that build data are
Mhm.
very far away from boots on the ground, what's actually happening
Business.
in the office of the
Mhm.
business. Exactly.
Mhm.
So just naturally, that's the way it grows. And they're not really part of the team. Again, operations need someone to run some data for them. Well, they don't
Mhm.
have anyone because those people are all owned by the IT team.
Yeah.
Finance, the same thing. Finance, there are financial analysts who do crunch numbers and do similar work.
Mhm.
Um, but typically the pieces of information are run by the data team. So to me, the biggest difference between this operational analytics and just
Mhm.
regular data analytics
Mhm.
is not just is that data analytics is building, mining, working through data, putting it all together. Operational analytics is using that and actually making that change that the data
Right.
analytics teams want to do. It's not that they're away from it; they'd like to do that as well. But the operational analytics are the ones that can actually bridge the gap between the different silos. The ones that can take the
Yeah.
IT data analytics and help operations know, can we do this? Are we able to add a new MA or not?
Right.
And the same thing for finance, just even as an example, if you're making they want to bring in a new piece of equipment into a practice.
Yeah.
Well, what are the ramifications of that? How much money is that going to cost? A simple pro forma on an equipment purchase is really just analytics,
Mm-hmm.
but someone who's actually with the operations and knows what's going on. And that tends to live by a operational analyst, whatever hat they may wear, whatever title they may have, as
Yeah.
opposed to the classic IT data analytics team.
Healthcare industry has slowly come to appreciate the role of the chief data officer. And I believe that role has been added to the C-suite to kind of oversee and fill the holes created by those gaps. Like we have what you were just saying, you have finance with its own data team, and then clinical with its own data team. And, people get lost in the sauce in terms of what's needed in terms of data analytics for the enterprise at large.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Like,
So
mhm,
you mentioned like the chief data. So I think for me, what I've seen is that
mhm,
that position is, and I don't just mean that specific position, but leadership on the data analytics side. I think they often mean well. Um, I don't know how often they achieve what they set out to be able to achieve. Meaning, what you're
right.
describing is what. So, like for example, I work for Optum. Optum
Uh-huh.
is a massive organization with tons and tons
Yes.
of levels up and up. So what we have a team. I actually initially it was Pro Health that
Yeah.
became called Optum Tri-State. Um, in Pro Health, we had our own data analytics team, and things were good, right? But then turns out, we're a part of a larger group, and that
Mhm.
group is part of a larger group, and each time we swallowed up by a large group, we were told, hey, we have data analytics on a national level that's going to help you out. And we've all said, oh, cool, that looks great and sounds great,
Mhm.
but it's not going to work for us. And they're usually like, wait, why won't it work for us? This is great. We're going to fix this across the whole
Right.
enterprise. It's going to all be aligned. Everything's going to be perfect. And the problem is they often forget about the fact that every place is going to be different. Every place needs, if you're building something, having absolutely no idea what's going on practically in the place, sure, you'll be 90% right. You'll have all the right information most of the time, but those pieces of information were probably readily available anyhow before you jumped in. Are you going to focus on the fact that, hey, we are a little different, we do things a little differently, we need to analyze the data maybe slightly not the right
Right.
way to be able to have what we do. So again, I would say that I think that role is like super important, and I
Mhm.
think every place I've been has tried to do a good job with that. And
Yeah.
I don't know that those roles have, all in my mind, have been as successful for a operational analytics side. They've been successful for an overall IT data analytics, absolutely. Have they gone down to the operational level in a great way? That's not.
I Yeah, I mean, in my travels, I've seen it work well because you also have to, in addition to having that role and those processes and the teams, you also have to have data governance in place. And the data governance is really gonna, it leans on the business and involving the subject matter experts to create an enterprise-wide data catalog and have everyone on the same page in terms of data sources and definitions and tools, and like no new tools or reporting are created or manipulated without insight from the data governance committee, which it encompasses sponsors or thought leaders or the business, the boots on the ground from across the organization. I mean, it's really exciting to see this work when it's set up properly. And I was in an organization where I was like, holy cow. I said, okay, so this is how this is supposed to work. You have to have clearly defined roles and definitions and
Yeah.
have everyone abide by them and agree to them.
So
Uh,
yeah, so I mean, just from again personal
yeah,
experience working with you, I know that you champion that concept,
I
and
did never, never.
I have seen that. I have
Yeah,
seen data governance be much more when working with you than I've seen it certain
yeah.
other places. Um, what I'd tell you is that without saying anything negative about my company, when you have so many different people
Yeah.
and you're trying to aggregate and put it all together, you
Mhm.
don't have a good set of data governance. It can happen, and it should happen. And I think the goal is for that to happen.
Yeah.
I'll tell you is that I know it can happen, and I know when it does happen, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't from a data standpoint, unfortunately, I haven't seen it been accomplished as much. Again, I know you champion that, but it's especially
Champion.
yeah,
And try.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so I'm not I don't disagree with you. I haven't
Mhm.
seen it, and my focus has not specifically been on that, so maybe I haven't been like privy to it as much as you
Yeah.
have. I haven't seen it been as successful with the a data lead being able to truly get the data in a place where operations can
Yeah.
have it at their fingertips.
It when it works well, it's beautiful, but it's just keeping everybody on the same page. And unfortunately, sometimes you have to first force a culture shift and changing the technology to be more up to date and to better serve and constantly communicating, here's where we could be and look how you would benefit, and like keeping that at the forefront, and that helps to get people um, back on board. Thank you for that. And it's clear, operational versus data analytics. And if I'm a newbie or if I'm looking to get into this area in healthcare, what skills do you think I need to focus on to hone and improve to be
Sure.
successful?
So I had this conversation with someone a few weeks ago. She was in a similar place trying to figure it out. And the first thing I asked her was, do you want to be data analytics in IT? Or do you want to be more boots on the ground operational analytics? I gave her an example. I said, financial analysts are data analysts who just know finance well. Operational or business analysts are analysts who know the business well. But the programmer, the data scientist, the classical data analyst is a very different skill set. So the first thing
Yes.
is important to understand, like, what are you looking to do? Because it's not just because I do operation analytics, that means so I know what I'll tell you is I know SQL enough to understand it, to utilize on a very small level. I can get my way around Tableau or Power BI or something like that,
Mhm.
but I don't specifically care about those things. That's not really what I do. So I take the data that's already given to me, and I play around with it in Microsoft Excel. Nothing more than that. As simple as that sounds, it is for two reasons. Number one, it is a lot more complex and powerful than most people realize. Um,
Yeah. I've
and,
seen
and
your work. I know
yeah,
what you're talking about.
right.
Yeah.
I have some fun things in Excel. But yeah, there's a lot that you can do, number one. And number two, it is accessible and is easy and is simple. And that's very important in a business.
Mhm.
I'll just, as an example, we use Tableau where I am, ProHealth.
Yeah.
And there was a report that the data team was building in Tableau and
Mhm.
giving it to the operational team, and they could not handle it because it was not in Excel. Because they wanted to well, now there is a way to download from Tableau to Excel.
Yeah.
So they figured that out. But it was a very simple concept where they are just used to seeing spreadsheets. They're used to being
Yeah.
able to just manipulate something very easy and write notes and make calculations, whatever they need.
Right.
It's really accessible to all. Not everyone knows it well. Some know it better than others, but Excel is a tool that people have heard of and know what it is and can be trained in it in a very simple level. And that's very powerful. So to me, what I'll say, skill wise, like, just be great at math, be great at using Excel, know how to go through a spreadsheet, and you're marketable to a financial analyst, a business analyst, an
Yeah.
operational analyst, all those roles. If you want to be a data analyst, a proper data analyst who's really dealing with the data mining scientists,
Mhm.
you need to be able to code, you need to be able to program.
Yeah.
I can't speak to what is the best thing to go into nowadays. I mean, you look at any of these job applications, you'll see they
Yeah.
want you to have SQL, they want you to have Python or R. Or, again, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna start listing them because I'm gonna sound like I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't. Um, Yeah, but I
No,
think
and
that
I've had some experts come on and who are very well versed, like
right,
hardcore data scientists,
right,
listing out exactly what you should focus on. And first, get very comfortable in Excel, then SQL, then Python or R.
mhm,
Mostly Python, then R. But yeah, so you listed the same.
right,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
Because
right over.
yeah, so it's but what I think the most important part is that you have to, if you want to, if you're saying you want to go into data analytics,
Mhm.
you have to know what you mean. Do you mean that you want to use your math skills and change, work hand in hand with the business, what's going on, or with the finances? That's a completely separate thing than a data analyst who's going to be spending their time creating and like serving as the architect
Right.
to different data lakes and putting it all together behind the scenes. And when a request comes to you, it's not just like taking the data and putting it together. It's actually building the connections between the different tables and the unique ideas.
Yes.
It's really it's a different role completely that happens to use
Yeah.
this word analyst behind it.
Yeah.
And so again, that's to me the most important part. Like, is that what you want?
It's
Because
like a data
that's
engineer. Yeah, we
right.
have engineers, we have analysts, we have
Yeah, exactly,
scientists.
exactly. And
Yeah.
but sometimes the naming is not clear
Yeah.
on the interview or on
Yeah.
the job post. But that's important because I work with a few data analysts who they are they just don't know what's happening on the operations because that's never been what their boss has wanted them to know. And that holds them back from building certain things.
Yeah.
But that's because their job is not to do that. Their job, again, back to what I was saying in the beginning, their
Mm.
things are built on silos. Their
Yeah.
boss, when they were hired, wanted to be able to do more analytics and more building these things. They didn't want to spend the time of their employees, learning and ingratiating themselves to all the different business folk,
Yeah.
which is what I do. My team, I have them when they're in, I say, I want you to talk to everyone on the floor. Don't
Yes.
tell me you don't know so and so who asked that question.
Communicate. Yeah.
Exactly. Go
Yeah.
talk to them and learn the business through them and learn
Yes.
what they
Yes.
might need through that.
The entire data analytics team needs to be at the table from the very beginning. If they're start talking about creating a new initiative, a new project, whatever it is, invite us to the table so that we can say, actually, I know the data that you need to be able to
Right.
track what you're doing. And here's how you can create that report. And oh, no, that's not possible. No, we don't have access to that. Right there from the get-go, before you start going off the rails and then coming to us saying, create this report. And we're like, what are you talking about? We don't have access to that. And it's impossible.
Is that it's and I try to explain this to people who've asked me, in terms of what they should go into, what jobs they should be looking for.
Right.
It's not only a linear path here. So for me, for example, like I happen to have started in my first job was actually in regulatory reporting for banks. I mean, it was
Oh,
awful. I hated it. It was not me at all. It wasn't data analytics, it wasn't healthcare, it was nothing. I was using my skills, what I can do with Excel to help out what they did. That prompted me to my next job, which was data analytics
mhm.
in healthcare. And at that point, I realized, yeah, this is what I need to be, where I need to be. Moved around a few places, end up, with Catholic Health, which was a wonderful 3 years for me, and then here at Optum.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that it's not that it's not that I went into a job which was, like say like a big four law firm, like accounting or a law firm, where it's like you go into a role and the next year you got that and the next year it's that. It wasn't a linear growth. And I think that's important because what I try to do is again work with the operations, showcase my skill set, what I can do for them. And then my next role doesn't just have to be with a title of analyst or analytics. Operational analytics goes beyond that. It's, you could be a director of strategy. You could run physician
Yes.
compensation with the background of data analytics. So
Right.
how do I run physician compensation? Well, I'll just tell you, like I run it as a data analyst. The
Uh-huh.
typical way that people run it and the other people in my organization who have run it are running it like more like accountants who have, done this before and have been doing this for 20, 30 years. And I come in with like my all my different ideas and whatever. But as a data analyst, I kind of attack that issue a little bit
Yeah.
differently with some more efficiency along the way.
Yeah.
And it kind of, what gave me the tools that I've used have allowed me to flourish in different areas, not specific, just a one linear growth within analytics.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. I'm right there with you. And it's been nice to watch. And I go, wait a minute, he's where? Holy cow. All right. Very proud and congratulations on how things have gone. And let me ask you something. What specific challenges have you faced along the way that folks might need to look out for?
Sure. What I'll tell you is that one of the biggest issues, well, I'll tackle this two ways. Number one, in terms of just operational analytics.
Mhm.
So I don't have a home. No, I don't have a department that really makes sense for me. My boss doesn't specifically focus or care about the things that I'm doing. I don't fall under operations. In fact, when I first started, say at Optum, I was working for the COO. So technically, I was operations. I worked for him for a year, and there's another COO. I worked for him for a year. He left, and he signed me to some VP of finance and said, now you're on the finance team. And I'm like, okay, but can I still do what I was doing for all the operations? Sure, we have a separate finance team doing that. So I was, if I didn't work very hard to promote myself and
Wow.
to make myself known and useful for so many different people in the organization, I could have been someone who just, fell by the wayside or didn't really fit into a place. And I think that's important. So the challenge, like I'd say a big challenge that I faced is, I don't mean this in a deeper way than this, but fitting in.
Mm.
It's not really the easiest if you don't make an effort to do that.
Yeah.
I will kind of just end up being some guy along the road that they might just, dispose of because all right, it doesn't fit in, we don't really need him, whatever it is. So that's definitely been something to, and I've overcome it just by, again, I spoke about this, by working with the people, talking to them. At Catholic Health, I don't even know if you know this, I used to like make my rounds I just wanted someone in that office to see me, someone in that office to see me.
Yeah.
I just
That's
wanted,
good.
because and what would happen, like all kidding aside, like that would start conversations or
Hmm.
continue conversations about what is needed, what people are looking for, what people want, what is happening in the business, how I can help, or how they can help me. It often happens both ways. So to me, again, that's number one from our operational analytics. My biggest challenge really is just the fitting in and knowing what my place is, and
Uh-huh.
to overcome it, work with everyone, talk to everyone, just
Yeah.
ingratiate yourself to everyone there. And then in terms of
Mhm.
um, data analytics,
Mhm.
part of the issue often is, I think the data analytics team, and you've mentioned this also, it doesn't really get the credit it deserves. It doesn't
Mhm.
really, it's not really often treated as like they know what they're doing or involved in the
Mhm.
company. Um, Often it is someone who's sitting behind a computer and not actually physically in the office or talking to people. And there's a lot where if I'm running a business, like that team, the data analytics team is really just, they're not telling me what to do. I'm telling everyone what to do, and they're just, whatever. They're running some data. I'll use it. I won't use it. And it's kind of like it's almost, I don't want to say disrespectful, but almost a little disrespectful, where it's like being put down that we're just like an ancillary
Yeah.
service to what you do.
It's
I mean,
dismissive.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like data don't lie. That's why I love working with data. You pull the data, you present it in a way. I mean, the data team, that's the team that can tell you, yeah, we had this number of visits, and guess how many got denied? Because you
Right.
forgot to do this, you forgot to do that. Here's how we can um, increase our revenue, by the way, if you do X, Y, Z. Just as long as you present your data, you do your research, make sure that it's accurate and of substance. And folks are always open to learning. Okay, these are the data. Okay, this is the story it's telling us, and here's what it could do for us. Okay,
So
show people the benefit, right?
yeah, I would, I guess offer, or I guess maybe jumping onto that, that
Mhm.
if you're doing that and when you're doing that, you want to have operations or finance
Mhm.
or whatever with you. Um,
Yes.
you want to, I mean, if you're presenting without them, on your own, you will get, what I'll tell you, what you just said, no, the denials. So the operational team will say like,
Yeah.
yeah, but it was really because of this. So no.
Uh-huh.
So that's like very important. I know you said do your research. So
Do
I
your
think,
research, know
right, do
who
your
needs to
research
be at the
and
table. Yeah.
right. They
Yeah.
got to be at the table with you because again, same thing. Like um, but there's times where you could showcase the data for one customer, and if you showcase that data for a second customer, it would have a different result.
Yeah.
Saying that, for example, just as an example, for prior authorizations for like for pain management. So every
Mhm.
single procedure has to have a prior auth and it's got to be done properly. And if we
Yeah.
have, but there's tons and tons of them. And I actually don't know the answer to this as I'm kind of making it up.
Yeah.
But what about, if you have a pediatrics practice who had a couple of, for whatever reason needed some prior authorization. If that pediatric place had a smaller denominator of need for prior auths, but let's say let's say they needed to do four and they did three, sounds like they're at 75%. Um, is that good or bad? I don't know. But what if the pain management was at 75%? That might be terrible because they have
Uh-huh.
hundreds and hundreds of cases. So that
Yeah.
same data point, in its context is also, so it's not spinning, but the context of it is very
Mhm.
important as well. And which is kind of where, to me, the operational analytics team
Mhm.
or players who are focusing on that kind of jump in and are able to talk through those things. So
Yeah.
yeah, the data is the data, and it's you guys are at 75%, you guys are at 75%. It is not the same.
Yeah. No, totally. I get it. And like the benchmarks will be different for those two as well.
Potentially.
And so you'll have groups reviewing those data and really deep diving into the details and looking at the ends. And you could see right there that the ends are very different. So, and just, just chat it out and figure out what makes sense to report and what makes sense not to report and so on and so forth. But anyway, Yosef, it was so nice to have you back on the show, and thank you so much for coming to talk with me again about our favorite thing, data and analytics, and operational analytics and data science, and what someone interested in going down this road for a career path would need to focus on. So it's been really great having you here. So after someone watches this, they may want to get in touch with you.
Mhm.
Is that okay? If yes,
Yeah.
the best way.
Yeah. So I mean, I do a lot. I don't really have social media except for LinkedIn.
Mhm.
I do, like to use my LinkedIn to have these conversations, to connect with the right
Right.
people and to, focus on the different types of like, content that's out there. So I'd be very happy if anyone wants to reach out to me. Find me on LinkedIn. I think it's under Joseph Miller. I'll give you that heads up.
Okay.
It gets confusing to me as well. But you should find me there. And yeah, I'd be more than happy to get in touch with you.
Beautiful. And I'll put the link, in the notes of the show.